Well, it is time to do the gutter drain piping. So this is the piping that goes around the foundation in order to go into an eye pit or an infiltration pit or a dry well or a variation of a French drain. They're called lots of different things. I call them an eye pit. It stands for infiltration pit. The white pipe will tie around, all the downspouts will tie into the white pipe. The white pipe goes into the clean out basin or bin. That will then go into the infiltration pit. For right now, we're going to get this 4-inch white piping installed. Things to consider when you're installing this piping around your foundation. When you do a stem wall and a footer double pour, you end up with little cleats. You might not see them really well, but cleats that were in place to hold the boards in place. They stay in your foundation, and they have a little hole for a nail. Well, the nails won't be there once the forms are stripped. So I take a piece of wire, like this, really thin stuff, and I run it through that hole, that you can see kind of here. And that way when I put the pipe up in place, I can twist it around and it'll keep the pipe where it belongs while I backfill. This just saves you some hassle in the long term of fighting that pipe and making sure it stays where it belongs. It's a little trick I learned because I got tired of fighting it every time I did it. So I now wire them in place every 20 or so feet. It usually keeps them locked in pretty well. If you have a super complicated foundation with lots of corners, you might not need to do this because it'll lock itself in as you do the corners. But when you have long runs like this, it's better to wire it in place and save yourself the hassle. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all these pipes together and then tie it in down there, and we'll come down and do this corner. I'm going to leave this section of pipe out for right now. I need to go get 345s. I'm going to need to 45 out and then kick back in and then 45 back in here because of this sleeve in the concrete wall. This sleeve is where the sewer line, or the line for all the piping in the house, will come into the septic tanks. And right now, they put a nice big sleeve in there for me, which is really nice. A lot of times this is really small, and it makes life a little difficult. But with this nice big sleeve in there, we almost have the 4-inch clearance that is not required. Technically, you can use a 3-inch pipe here, but it's better to use a 4. But if we go ahead and we 45 this pipe out and around, that'll allow this sleeve to be lower down, come out, and 45 underneath of this other pipe. So I'm going to leave this out for now, go to a couple 45s, and we'll put this all together in a little while. I left this section of pipe out because we had this sleeve that comes through the foundation right here. And in order for the piping to hook up to the tanks, the pipe has to come through this sleeve. Normally it would come straight out into the tanks. In this instance, I'm going to glue this sweep in here, which is basically going to allow the plumber to bring the pipe out here and 45 underneath of this piece of pipe. I'm going to leave this uncovered so that when he comes, he doesn't actually dig into this thing with a shovel or a backhoe. And hopefully he'll come and put his piping and we'll be all good. These are the things you need to consider when you place your penetrations through your foundation wall. A lot of times people just dig under the foundation through the ground, which works also. In this case, we have this sleeve here, and there's no reason not to use it, so we're just going to do a little kick out around it and go from there. It's pretty critical that this thing stay level. That's kind of how this whole piping system for the gutters works around the entire house. It loops through the house 360 degrees, but gravity is what makes this thing work. So if this were to be sagged down, you'd basically create a water trap, and you wouldn't allow water from the back of the house to flow through the path and come around the house that way. That's why this thing needs to be level, so the water just flows through here, down around the front of the garage. This T we just installed with this cap will eventually dump into this catch basin, filter basin, however you look at it. We'll drill a 4-inch hole here, 4-inch hole here. We'll dig a hole in the ground. No, you need to prep before you backfill this T. Make sure this stub out is here, because once you backfill, you won't be able to move the pipes around, you won't be able to get the T in place. So that's what the T's for. It's to tie into the barrel. I'm going to do a quick walk around of the piping for the foundation, show you what it looks like all installed, and then we're going to wrap this one up. So we're going to start right here where the drum or clean out is going to go. So we've got our T assembly. This will all get backfilled with dirt, and then once we've made some more progress and got the house framed up and some other things in place, we'll go ahead and dig this out with the backhoe and install the infiltration pit, which is what this black drum ties into. So from there, we wrap around the back of the house. We come to our first downspout, or a downspout tie-in. I went ahead and bought some caps, and these are just sitting on here. They're not glued in place. And that just keeps all the dirt and debris out of there while we're building the house. And any of you that have little kids know that, you know, anything and everything would go down that if there wasn't a cap installed on it. So it wraps around the foundation, comes across the back. It's very important you understand where the roof line of your house is going to be at. So in this case, this area here will eventually be a concrete patio that will be underneath the roof. So the pipe is actually just able to run straight across here. So I put a pile of dirt in the middle to support the pipe, and that'll keep it in place while I go ahead and backfill. And I can reach all the way back there with my front loader and put dirt behind it, which is why I was able to put the pipe in now and without having to put the dirt in. If this was deeper or this was a lot bigger, I would have had to backfill before I put the pipe in, but in this case, we were able to make it work. Brings us around to our second downspout tie-in. So I wrapped these around the edges because when eventually when you have the patio and your lawn furniture and whatnot and your grass out in the back here, you don't really want to see all these extra downspouts and gutter piping that'll be on the side of the house. So we wrap them around the sides where it's less intrusive, and put the caps on them and get them staged for the gutters to be installed. We come down here and we have our kick out for the sewer pipe. So the sewer pipe will come out of that sleeve. It'll 45 underneath this little kick out, and it'll come over, and the septic tanks will be somewhere out over here. If you were to forget about this and there was a sleeve there, if you just put the pipe straight across, what would happen is the plumber would literally just punch right through there and break right through the pipe, and then it would be your problem to fix later. Once again, we have the downspout on the side. It's less intrusive, obviously. So this is the front of the garage. And then we have the pipe that goes across the front of the garage. So we backfilled 99% of the garage without that pipe in place. And then I came back with my front loader, and I used the front loader and I trenched this out to put the pipe in. I didn't want to take the chance of crushing that pipe while I was trying to backfill over the top of it. It's just easier to leave it out, do the backfill, and then pull the dirt back over the top of it. Another downspout on the side. I got to put a cap on that one, forgot that one. This is a good example of where I would not have been able to reach with my back or with my loader. So I backfilled all that dirt as you saw, and then we put the pipe in after the fact. There'll be more dirt that has to go there, but that was probably 80% of it. So we did most of it and got the pipe installed, and now we're all dialed in. Pipe runs across. We have our next downspout T here. This kind of wraps around, so the roof line actually comes, there's a little kick out right here, and there's a gable in, so there'll be one that ties into this that will be the gable in front of this big window, and then we have to have another one around the corner that will catch the rest of the roof here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 downspouts. So we've got our 6 downspouts. All our caps are installed. It wraps all around the foundation. We took into account the kick out for the sewer pipe, and we've got our T assembly for the drain barrel once we get all the backfill done and the I-pit dug. That's going to wrap this video up. I appreciate you guys watching. Definitely hit that subscribe button. It always helps me out in the long run. Check out some of these other videos. I'll have the house series for this house, the garage series of videos, and the tractor series of videos. Until next time, thanks for watching.